Hello, everyone. With us today, we have Danielle Fournier. Good morning, Danielle.
Hello.
Hi. Could you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you?
So I'm so happy to be here. So I am a retired publisher turned entrepreneur and spiritual teacher. I'm also a book coach. I was in publishing industry for 30 years and I still own a part of a publishing company. So I have a wide variety of interests. My focus in life is to help women get their message out to the world. And that's often about overcoming the ways of which we limited ourselves. So I teach intuition, I teach, which is inner trust expression through books and projects and business.
Wow. Just a wide variety. That's so amazing. So, can you tell us what spirituality means to you?
Such a good question. So, spirituality to me is your relationship with the world, like how we create meaning, how we understand and our spiritual framework for like what is happening to us on a very personal level, right? Beyond religion, beyond any type of faith, but like how are we with our place in this whole experience?
Wow. And how does that spirituality weave through your different programs that you offer women?
So for me, it's all about when you understand who you are, like really who you are. That really is our ultimately our purpose is to be the best versions of ourselves. According to ourselves, we have to live in integrity, being at peace and at home with our gifts, where we are at this stage, whatever stage that is in life, and what we can do to feel completely complete and generous so that we can give to the world. So for the programs, the spirituality is like I have something within me that I want to give. That's usually like businesses for me are a vehicle of your soul, of like of change and how you want to contribute. And as far as writing, why I stay with books is that sometimes people need to be able to put all of this insight in something that other people can understand. And we can't have a one on one conversation with everybody in the world, right? And then my programs, like the live retreats, are about coming into and being present with yourself for a prolonged period of time, which is a huge gift in this world to be able to understand what is my sense of spirituality, my sense of belonging, especially now where a lot of us feel like how much do we differentiate ourselves in this world, become, independent and self-contained without becoming a lone wolf kind of personality where we don't relate to or understand other people, like becoming a whole part of the collective.
Wow. And since you brought up your retreats, tell me a little bit about the Maui retreats that you hold and what that does for the women that come to them.
I love them so much. I still like, I just giggle even thinking about it. So I host basic a 5 day retreat in Hawaii. Um, Maui as a kid for me, I was very much on my own as a child, and that was hard in some ways, but a blessing in some ways. I spent a lot of time in direct relationship with nature, and that both taught me skills for independence, like how to ocean swim, but also how to listen. And so I take people, to women specifically, to learn how to tune into that part that's already in us, to listen to our soul guidance. And when you're in an immersive container, you really can stay in that energy so it's more reliable. Intuition for a lot of people are like, well, it kind of feels like the muse. It's here and it's there, but it's actually available all the time. So we go and then I work with them on clearing because it's so much easier with another person to be like, this is what's standing in your way and I so see it, but often we're running our own programming so much that we can't see, which is why I love coaching. We can't see necessarily the ways we hold ourselves back because we've usually been doing it for so long that until it's obvious and you're a really good detective, someone else can shorten that timeline for you, especially when they see you for 5 days of like, yep, there it is again. Okay, I'm going to get it. And the growth is exponential.
Oh, that's amazing. So, since you brought up intuition, could you tell me how intuition and trauma have a link?
Mm. So, what I found in working with a lot of women is that intuition is unfortunately often developed from unstable environments or dangerous or unsafe feeling. But that doesn't have to be outwardly violent, just feeling not safe emotionally creates this habit of tracking and reading beyond what's being said. 90% of communication is nonverbal. And so when we rely upon words or what people are doing, it's great to believe that everybody's doing and living in congruence with what's coming out of their mouths. But the truth is, energy doesn't lie. And so when we have traumatic beginnings, whether they're verbally abusive, neglectful, painful, all types of ways of, if you were raised in a household that wasn't the most supportive and loving, or there was threat coming, there tends to be in people this place of intuition that's always like, you understand what's going on far faster than the average person. It's always there, and it doesn't have to be there for negative, but this is why a lot of women grow up go like, I can get intuition for other people, I can get hits for other people, but I can't see it for myself. Well, that's because we've been doing it for so long that we only know how to identify a certain type of thing. But intuition really is about reading energy and about reading situations, understanding the room, being incredibly present. So when we expand it past trauma, it becomes a superpower that we always have guidance available and understanding and all of these resources within us present right now.
That's amazing. And I worked with you on that, and it is so true. I could tell lots of people about their stuff. I could help them with their relationship, but my own was very small, my intuition. So it's amazing the things that you can do with people. So could you tell me what you think people should know about emotional wellness, since that's part of that?
Mm. So I think everybody's born whole, and I think we're all great. I mean, I want to preface that with like, I don't think people are broken and need to be fixed. I think people are innately really well, and it's bringing that wellness to the surface. So we often have just experiences that frame the way we think and go about life that might not work. And maybe they did work really well. If it worked really well as a child in one situation, though, say you were always defensive or quiet or withdrawn or trying to do people pleasing activities, that as you become an adult, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. And so as we expand our capacity to understand our own wellness, like the way you were born to operate, everybody, and this is what's so magical is people, there's so many different ways to be. Some people are naturally extroverted and some people are not. To understand returning to our true nature gives us the ability to create a life that we really want. And it's so different and unique. And that's what I love about the healing part is as we let go of the things that are not us, which I like to think, this is a great visual. If you ever think I have this limiting belief and it's like really tripping me up, it's just like those barnacles in Pirates of the Caribbean. They're just attached to you. They are not you, right? They're just things that you've been wearing around that aren't really who you are. And it can be as easy as letting it go when we work with the root of the pain, right? Because we are not pain, we experience pain. I would say that we are love, but that's a different conversation.
Right. Right. So as you let go of the pain, how have you seen for yourself and for your clients, just like the growth and just the shifting and changing with the things that you teach them and you do with them, how you guide them?
So there's two main results I see with people. One, there's the inner result of we get to be comfortable in our skin. That's the main result I think everybody should aim for, is that you get to be okay with your choices made from a sovereign place, right? So like, this is what I want. No is a full answer. Those are the most powerful things. And when we become solid in this is who I am, and this is what I want, and this is what I want to do, and this is what I have to give, right? Just really simple, clean things. Then the actions start happening in the world that create more circumstances that we love and enjoy, whether that's starting a business, becoming incredibly adept at intuitive readings, or investing in properties. My clients have had everything all over the map, from being able to say no to family members that were like living with them and they're taking care of kids well into their 20s, and in 30 is when they don't have a life of their own, right? That's just as important as the clients that trade up. Like I had one client trade a rental that they liked, but they really had a dream of a home for their family on the beach. So that's part of manifestation and wellness of this is what we really want. This is, and not feeling guilty or shameful about who we are, right? When we let go of those, we start making actions in the world that totally change what our life looks like, especially in business, because that one you tend to see very clean outputs of the input, as in, like, nope, you're definitely not doing enough to create that income, or no, you're not having great experiences with clients and those things. It's beautiful for that, because we can see, oh, this is where I'm not going for all of it. It's really great. Get a little hairier with relationships because we've got other people involved, right?
Right, exactly. So, I'm going to back up a little bit. What got you going from just being a publisher, and it's not just, but that's a big thing, to what you're doing now? Like that's such a big shift in a beautiful way. And
Mhm.
what path took you from being a publisher to working with women and doing all the different things you're doing now?
Oh, so it was my own path to wanting to be who I was, really. And it wasn't, I had a lot of success in publishing fairly early. I was the youngest female publisher, one of the youngest, probably the youngest, definitely the youngest female publisher, and one of the youngest publishers, period, in the state of Washington, and across the nation. It's kind of something you do in your 40s, 50s, and 60s. And I was in my 30s. I won a lot of awards, and I found myself in my office going, there could be more. And I always wanted to be a writer. And I thought, why do I hold myself back from what I want to do? And here I am making other people's dreams come true. And I loved that. But I also had my own dreams, right? So it wasn't like either or. And I'd also struggled with, to start back even further, I had been through a traumatic uh, preteen, 13, 14, 15 period of life where there was a lot of assault. I lost a lot of friends. I developed horrible anxiety, like the type where you can't sit in a room, like not, I'm nervous, full blown panic attacks with like breathing in a bag, didn't ride in a car for one point, didn't leave my house. It made my quality of life so poor because I couldn't go for the dreams. I couldn't fathom the idea of going to college. It took me years to graduate. I had to go to one class at a time. I really struggled. And so I still had a career the whole time. I went to a lot of college, kind of like hiding out from life. But when I started to really deal around my 30th birthday, I was like, I've got to figure this out. Boy, it's almost 20 years now. I thought, I've got to really figure this out. And that's when I started studying Buddhism and understanding the emotional health and nature sets the foundation bedrock for our lives. How you feel and spirituality, for me, that was the framework of like, boy, do I believe I deserve everything? Do I believe what do people deserve? And it started with that question. Someone would say, you deserve it. I'm like, does anybody deserve anything? And it philosophically, it woke things up for me. So as I was going more successfully through life, getting older, I was like, you know what? I actually have some stuff to teach people. So I started my own consulting business in 2017, doing books. But what I ran into with people wasn't that they didn't know how to write books. It was that they held themselves back because they had been told to doubt themselves. They have been trained to doubt themselves, to overanalyze, to second guess, to be ashamed of wanting to be famous, like being a famous author. Some people like a lot of people really want that, but they're like, oh, don't say it out loud, because people will tell you, you won't make any money. You'll never do it. No one get, like, that's not true. Creative people are the most well-paid people in the world. And what holds most creative people back is some bad habits about not finishing, because we buy into the trope of creativity. And so for me, when that all kind of came together during the pandemic of like, I'm going to teach this full time. I've been doing referral clients for 20 years as a medium. I loved tarot cards. I was a seeker spiritually. I wanted to understand. I grew up in a world, I'm an Indigenous person. I grew up in a world of spirituality, and it was part of life. It was who we are. There wasn't a difference, like a separation of religion and spirituality in life. It was how you went through. So I actually had to untrain myself from some religious teachings to feel like I was being punished because, to make this long story longer, in my high school years when everybody died, and I was with my friend who had been in a car wreck, and the nuns told me, and I'll never forget this day, well, she's in a better place. I'm like, but her better place is with us. It's hard for a 16-year-old to grip the idea that it's fine that someone was just killed in a drunk driving accident, you know. That's and that sent me on that. So there was moments that created this perfect storm of, I started to realize when I was in the consulting business and starting my business that I had so much more to offer than just mechanically setting up books, because that's not why people don't finish things. Anything.
Right.
Business, weight loss, relationships, it's an inside job. And when I started having success coaching people with that, then the pandemic happened and I was like, okay, I've got something deeper to offer. And I had considered both entering some kind of clergy work, a monastery, and being a nun very much in my 20s. So for me, this feels like I get to be a minister still on the outside. It's very important to me.
That's amazing. So, what would be one thing that you would suggest for somebody who is in a spot where they're feeling disempowered and like they don't know where to go next? What's one thing they could do today to help with that?
Breathe really slowly. And I know that that sounds so simple, but we often really know the next step if we will sit still long enough without a phone, without your partner, without looking at scrolling or picking up a book. Journaling is still an amazing thing. Sometimes I tease people, I'm like, it's not the end all be all, but it can really, a solid daily practice of journaling can show you your own thoughts if you let yourself write long enough to start to see the patterns, right? But being present and just saying, you know, what's going on with me? Inventory is so important. Like, how do I feel? We don't ever ask ourselves enough, like, what do I want? How do I feel? How are you doing? How much do we crave for people to ask us that real question and listen? So we can be that for ourselves. That's the first place, is taking an honest, kind, loving inventory of where we are today. How you doing? You know, that's the first step.
Right. And you have a lot of content on your YouTube channel. So, what kinds of things can they find, and what will they look under to find your YouTube channel?
So it's under Modern Shaman, um, and spirituality and manifestation. I teach a sense of wholeness, right? Because it's, I don't think it's very fun to be a very spiritual person and not have the resources to go do the things you want to do. So I love deconstructing our stories around money not being a spiritual thing, because the well-funded, I want to see money more in the hands of wonderful people doing great things. And for me, that was a big part of my journey, because I denied myself having a luscious income for a long time because I didn't want to take from anyone. And I felt really guilty that maybe I didn't deserve it, all those things. So my YouTube has manifestation, money teachings, and emotional wellness, plus some intuition, because they're all really tied together. As we get very centered and know ourselves, then we understand what is not us, which is the only thing that stands between you and the life you envision. So it's different ways to go at the same problems. Because sometimes if you poke a problem, you know, like, this is the thing, this is the thing, you're like, okay, well, I'm pretty good at dealing with this stimulus. I'm going to go around the side, and then you'll see it and it'll break up the problem. Like, it's not about the money, it's about the self-worth. It's about the shame. It's about what you're willing to do, like talking to people about sales, right? Just making it. Sales is an ask, but how many times do we vulnerably ask in life for what we want? Just open-hearted, no expectations. right? That's part of the Buddhist trainings, is like, can you open and give and ask without attachment to outcome, but still being very much in desire.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And so what can they find on your website, modernshaman.com?
My website has a list of the courses that are available for purchase. There's some recorded trainings there that you can dig into around money and abundance and the actual clearing ways to do it. Those are powerful. Information on the two standing programs of Dragon Business Academy, which is the business coaching, and energetics, Soul Path, which is our intuition training and clearing, but also anything that's special retreats, information about me, how to get a hold of me. I'm pretty easy to find, but
And so you just talked about clearings. Can you tell me a little bit about clearings and what happens in case somebody's never experienced one?
so that's the thing, is people often say, well, I know I hold myself back. How am I doing this? Clearings is a word that is a catch-all for a lot of things. You can do emotional clearings, body clearings, like a cleanse, and energy clearings. So what I do is a combination, because when we have, when you cry at a commercial and you're like, why is this bothering me so much? Well, it's touching emotions that are stored in your body. It's like getting also a massage. You're like, why am I crying? Why am I crying? Ah, and I feel so good. That's somatic storing, right? And then we have um, clearings of limiting beliefs, things that we have actual highways in our brains of patterns and habits, right? So then there's the energy clearings. The energy clearings that I do are meant to help you remove the actual energy out of the body by moving it out of the auric, your actual field. And that is going in and finding the root of something, because it's just shaking and waiting for resolution, because it's not part of you. Remember, it's just a barnacle. So we go in there and we kind of tap the barnacle and it goes, oh, okay, I don't need to hold on so tight anymore. Right? It's like telling someone, it's the same energy. If you tell someone a secret, something's been on your heart, and it's just weighing you down, and you share it with a really good friend, and you're like, you know what, actually, maybe it's not that bad. Maybe I can clear this and like let it go, and it starts to see the light. So when you clear the body, mind, and spirit, um, there's nothing really weird to it. What I do, people can feel it, they can't necessarily see it, which is pretty trippy, but it is just a lot like that massage of like, oh, here's the thing, I'm touching something in you, right? If I touch a traumatic energy, right? Trauma to me is an energy. It's something that's incongruent with who you are. If I work on that with someone, I'm going to remind it what the truth is. Right. This is why energy work is so strange. It's like with Reiki, a lot of people are familiar with Reiki. What you're doing is you're tuning your body back to the love frequency that is the natural earth frequency, the Schumann frequency, right? And if you can hold it, then you'll stay there. Right. So if you can't hold it by yourself, generally you drift back to wherever you were. The energy clearings are taking that out, and then hopefully you bring it back to where you naturally are. It's the same principle. You will tune yourself back to your regular frequency. You do enough of those with some big things, you let it go. You really take it out of the body, but it has to come out of the body, the spirit, and the mind. Like, so affirmations work on the brain, tapping like EFT, that works on where it's stored in your muscles. And then energy clearing and Akashic clearings work on past lives and like things you come with us, that spiritual realm, things we can't see.
Wow, that's amazing. And as somebody that works with people with the same kind of thing, it's just really the relief you see, the weight you see come off their shoulders as they go through it is really just magical. And you have given us a free gift. Do you want to tell us about the free gift that they'll get when they click on the link?
Yes. So it's an intuitive activation. This is clearing out the most common ways that people limit their intuition and their ability to connect themselves by they've either been afraid, they don't understand it, it feels unreliable. This is a meditation to bring it to the surface on a very subconscious level. So it will start guiding you more quickly and become more reliable. And the ways that generally people are afraid of their intuition. They're like, I don't want to say anything too weird. I don't want to be like, like seeing ghosts or things, or like, or it's just freaky. We're taught that it's strange. So this is a beautiful opportunity to sink into it, let it work on you in a nonverbal way, and bring it into the safe realm so you can start to work with it.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much. Is there anything else you would like for everybody to know before I let you go?
Yeah, you're whole, you're perfect. The world needs your art, and you should go for it. Just go for it. Whatever it is, the thing, it's always right here. It's always right here. And when you tune in there, you just have to see the next step. Just the next step is enough.
Wow. Thank you so much, Danielle. Thank you for working with us today. Thank you for your free gift and just being part of this women empowerment.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been amazing.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.